Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with myself, Kate Tracy, alongside Andrew Mount and Dave Young to look forward to a really, really good card at York on Saturday. We've also got a couple of races from Goodwood chucked into the mix as well. But the three of us are back off holiday. So big thank you to Massey and to Joe for holding the fort for us. And all three of us were just discussing there. We've only just got back from holiday. We're all slightly struggling, so do just bear with us. Please bear with my voice. I feel like a death heated up, but I couldn't miss this one. Couldn't miss the lads' selections looking ahead to York. Dave's had a pipe burst. Andrew's got a bad back, but we're going to park that to one side. We've got it out the way for now because we need to pick up the mantle from how well the lads did last weekend, because the lads got off to a perfect start. A 1-2, Joe Napier's selection further beating Matty's selection, Epic Poet, to get us going with a 13-2 winner. Sadly, the winners ended there, though, although we did hit the crossbar with a few selections. Bin Haya, Joe's selection in the second race was a narrow second at 7-2. Matty's selection at Get Ready to Rumble was again a narrow second in the third race at 9-2. Joe's selection in the Great St. Wilfred, Alza here managed fourth at 10-1. So some each way money there, with some bookies paying for places. And finally, Witness Stand, who was Matty's pick in the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes, was once again second, but at 13-2. So a tricky weekend, loads more to get into this weekend. And also, we have to give a shout out to our new member, Barry Salt. So thank you so much, Barry, for becoming a member. You join our other members as well. You always get a shout out. And if you too would also like to become a member, the description of how to do so is below us in this video. Right, lads, let us crack on with the racing. The 150 at York is the Group 3 Strensel Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 1 mile 1. King's Gambit it is, who heads away at 7-2, Mr. Mount.
Yeah, I'm just found the right race because I'm looking at today's racing Thursdays for my punting, tomorrow's racing for GG in the tote for my previews, and Saturdays for this video. So I'm all over the place at these big meetings. But the Strensel Stake, there is an interesting stat that counts against the front two in the betting. Horses absent for more than 5 weeks and 0 from 19 in the past 10 years. The expected winners would be greater than 3, so that looks quite significant. And King's Gambit and Beaumark both fall down on that stat. So that's a sort of potential reason for taking those on. The last time out, winners do have a good record. The past 10 renewals, there have only been 16 qualifiers, quite strangely. 5 of those won for a profit of £5.50 at SP. Those last time out winners who raced within the past 5 weeks, 5 wins from 11. Good strike rate, profit of £10.50. That brings in the only qualified Gladius for Andrew Balding and Oisin Murphy, a son of Knight of Thunder, whose progeny have been doing well at York, certainly on day one anyway. And he's only been beaten once from 4 starts. That was when second at Salisbury. He liked the ground. He's yet to race left-handed. But I thought, given those stats, given the form of the trainer, I thought I'd take a chance on him around about 14-1.
Yeah, 14-1, just been clipped in from 18 16s now to 14s, but still a nice price as well. And of course, you just gave the good shout out there to Knight of Thunder. I don't need to say it because I say it every single time. My absolute favourite sire. Great to see you had such a good day on the first day of York as well. So 14-1 shot for Andrew. Dave, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, good case made by Andrew as well. And of course, this is over 9 furlongs, isn't it? That sort of middle-ishy trip for some of these horses. Last two starts for Gladius, I think, were at 9 furlongs. So no question much about the trip. My opening gambit for this race was to say that we've had 5 winning favourites in the last 10 and 9 winners priced 6-1 or shorter. So we don't need to go searching for an upset, as Andrew searches for an upset. So we've got all bases covered. That's what we like to do on the show, right? But I think King's Gambit dropping back to 9 furlongs. Andrew's already touched on the layoff that he's had at 67 days. I suspect they'll ride him more prominently for the fact that they've dropped him back. But he's got questions to answer back in the trip. He's got questions to answer now anyway. I know he ran winning that Great Voltager last season here, but he was a very different horse. So I can kind of understand why they put him in that 7-2. Let's see if there comes money for him. But I mean, I could see him easily just being quite a weak favourite at the front of it. So, like I say, they're dropping him back in trip. They should ride him prominently, with my take on things. I don't want to bet on the fact of them doing that. And given the fact that he's not really in form, I think he's probably one to oppose. The 2 behind are the ones I'm probably most interested in. I do like Skakuza, but he's got his mark through the handicap sphere. And I don't know whether that would necessarily carry into this division. But Beaumark and King of Cities are the 2 that I was sort of shortlisting. Beaumark's very lightly raced. You could probably use the ground as a bit of an excuse in that French derby last time when it was a bit behind King of Cities in that race, but was well up there right till the finish. But then if it's not quite the ground, it may have been the fact that the horse didn't see the race out properly. And I know it's dropping back like a furlong and a half here, but that might not be enough of a drop back to see that, especially in this type of company. But at least the layoff with the horse, that could be another excuse of maybe didn't run up to form, but I don't know, 5-1 feels skinny enough. The other one that I mentioned there a couple of times, King of Cities, is the one that I would probably have slight preference for. I think he's just been a fairly solid enough horse this season in every single one of his races. I think 9 furlongs looks about ideal. I think it was a listed race at the start of the season. The horse ran in over 9 furlongs that looked like an okay trip. And I just thought at the prices 7-1 about King of Cities looked about right. I suspect the front three in the market, there will be some wiggles in those prices. And I can see King of Cities going off a lot shorter than he is at the moment. So I'll side with that one, please.
And again, he has been clipped in as well. 10s to 12s, back to 10s and now to 7-1 that I can see. So he has been supported as well. King of Cities now onto the 205 at Goodwood. Handicap for the 3-year-olds and over 7 furlongs. Pretty open affair that you've got to go out in this one, Dave. It is 9-2 the field. Good luck.
Yeah, it does look like a tough one, and it's one of these races where you've got loads of course and distance winners. You've got 2 of those course and distance winners have won in the last couple of starts as well, with Mudbeer that's got cheek pieces on now, and then Ross Collin that won over 1 mile at Goodwood. So there's lots of course form, there's lots of course and distance form, but Back in Black's a horse that I thought for James Fanshawe and Daniel Muscat that definitely warrants favouritism in here. It was a very ready winner last time out. And looks like the horse that's going to be able to take the rise and the weights better than some of those other rivals. Like I say, there's course and distance winners in it. There's a multitude of last time out winners. They've all gone up, which for me negates a bit the £6 rise that Back in Black's got. Now, it was 134 days ago we last saw Back in Black, and that was the first one of this season after a 211-day break. So the fact that there has been a gap is a slight concern, because I don't think that would have been by design, but we've seen that the horse can go well fresh. This is still a £50,000 to the winner race, so I think the horse has obviously got a big target in mind, and I would expect that this horse will be rated much higher than 92 at this point in the season than if he'd have had the clear passage and run in the races he maybe should have done. So 9-2 about Back in Black, I think, looks a fair enough price and a pretty competitive handicap.
Very competitive, but 9-2 though, still a fair price about Back in Black for Dave. Andrew.
Yeah, interesting races. In the last 10 years, we've had fields between 6 and 19 runners. So it's a funny race to look at from a draw perspective with trends and weights, because there have been very different runnings of it. The one I want to be against is Mudbeer, despite liking the horse, because he's got cheek pieces on for the first time. That's a terrible stat with John and Fady Gosden runners. And the fact that he won last time out and they've reached for the headgear is a bit of a concern as well. I think Darkness is threatening to win a race of this nature and would be semi-interesting in this, having run a good fourth at 25-1 at Thirst last time out. But I do like this Great Acclaim, who has improved, particularly on the clock, since fitted with blinkers, winning the last twice, including over course and distance at the Glorious meeting. Now you look at that and you think, oh, maybe he was flattered because he was up with the pace throughout when beating Cracking Gold. But then he followed that with a game win at Chepstow. He's only gone up another £2 for that. So from stall 2, which looks like a handy draw, he's at the right position, the weights and draw stats wise. So I think Great Acclaim can go in again.
At 11-2 for Great Acclaim in that 205 at Goodwood. Back up to York now for the 225, the Melrose handicap, Heritage handicap, the 3-year-old equivalent of the Ebor over a mile 6. And we've got 5-2 on the field, as competitive as ever. Andrew, so how do you solve this one?
Yeah, the interesting stat is running style. 8 of the last 10 winners came from off the pace. The other 2 were prominent. Horses who made the running or disputed the early running were 0 from 18. And it tends to have been best who had a recent run as well. Those off for 5 weeks or longer, just 1 from 52 in the past 10 years. So looking at Carriers, I know he looks solid enough given that Sandown win last time out, but he does tend to race fairly close to the pace, or has done in 2 of his last 3 starts. So I was looking to field against him. Golden Handshake as well, the Royal runner. You look at his recent runs, in touch with leaders, raced in 2nd place. So that he might be closer to the early pace than ideal as well. I did look at Daiquiri Bay, despite the fact he's trained by Alan King. At least he's not a hurdler running on a Saturday, because I've got a downer on those. So when you're looking for a horse who's got a recent run likely to be ridden patiently, I'll probably put Daiquiri Bay in my play spot. I'll also consider the Cesarewitch winner, Many Men. Now, don't tell anybody who's going to win the Cesarewitch because I don't want the price to go. But yeah, Many Men has got a fantastic record on sort of tracks with long straights as well. He loves Doncaster. He's won at the Rolling Mile at Newmarket last October. He goes on ground ranging from sort of good to firm to soft. I think this horse is absolutely perfect for the Cesarewitch over 2 miles, 2 furlongs. Whether he wins this or not, I don't know. Ascot wasn't ideal for him last time, but he got away with it. So I love the horse though. So I think I'll sort of have him on my short list. Novelista is the other one as well for Charlie Johnson, Joe Fanny. I wouldn't normally back Johnson horses at this meeting, particularly those who run at Glorious Goodwood. That was a very negative angle with Mark Johnson. Charlie seems to be doing things slightly differently, but particularly with running styles as well. This one tends to come from off the pace, which is used to be rare for Johnson runners. But I'll go of the 3 that I've mentioned. Novelist is the biggest price over Many Men and Daiquiri Bay, but do consider backing Many Men anti-post for the Cesarewitch. You heard it here first.
There you go then. Looking forward to the Cesarewitch even more so than usual, but he is currently 12 to 1 for this one. Many Men, Novelista at 18s and Daiquiri Bay at 10 to 1. And Dave, we've got another smaller field for the Melrose than we really would have liked to anticipated. This has been an unfortunate trend we've seen for the last few years, and we know why. We know that lots of these horses are just being outsourced abroad now beforehand. So it is a shame for the Melrose, but it still looks competitive for the small enough field that we've got.
It does indeed, and you'd think the fewer runners, the easier it would be to whittle down the field. But I think this is really hard, this race. Yeah. I thought. Where Andrew's talked on Tarriance as well, it was really grim conditions at Sandown when the horse won. Put his head down like in the style of a good horse, and we know that Andrew Baldwin's got a pretty reasonable record in this race with a few recent winners in there. I don't know. I feel like the horse can run well, but it wouldn't have shouted out as sort of like a winner in waiting from that last time effort. For all that he won well, and this is still a big race, it's maybe not as competitive like you say, will have been targeted towards this, but yeah, I can respect, but I just didn't want to side with Tarriance. Golden Handshake only just clung on last time. We don't know whether the horse idled or what it was. He didn't really quicken when the horse came to him. That was after a relatively quick turnaround. I think the horse spread a plate, was withdrawn late, like a few days before. Obviously wanted to get a prep in coming into this particular race, so you'd expect some improvement in there, but on the bare form of it, the mark's just where it should be. And as I started to work my way further and further down, I was looking at some of the horses. I think the 9 of the last 10 winners have been rated 9 or carried 9 stone 3 or less. So I thought maybe that'll be a way to start whittling it down. But then there's horses like Sea of Kings in here who I can't trust because he's been throwing the towel in, it looks like, in a few of his races. He's still a maiden. Although on his actual debut, he did stay on stoutly, but maybe he's a different horse now. It's just a bit of a confusing one. Daiquiri Bay, I was similar to Andrew in there. The fact that it's Alan King train on a Saturday, Andrew's told me that too many times now for me to want to try and make
only the hurdlers.
No, I know. And he just did. I watched the Ascot race back, and he just wasn't really staying on as eye-catching as I would have hoped to have seen with him being around about 10 to 1 poke. So look, lots of horses that I don't potentially like in here. Fantasy World's just outside that weight of 9 stone 4. Another Andrew Baldwin runner. I mean, looks like a horse that's on a decent upward trajectory. Went up like £8 on RPRs for his last 2 wins. Both those last 2 wins have come on ground with ease in it, which concerns me a little bit. That's where I sat a little bit with Novelista as well. I don't think the horse desperately needs it to be slower, but I thought was priced because of the fact that it's going to be fast enough ground. The one that would be, I guess, more of a novelty selection was Talisman Time. I know Andrew's kicked off the start of this saying you don't want horses that have not run inside the last 5 weeks. This horse ran 6 weeks ago. The 2 races that the horse won, it was Hamilton last time. They're both pretty weak races, but the last effort was actually pretty impressive. I know he was an odds-on favourite and it was against a weak field, but I think the runner-up came out and won next to out, although they've been beaten since. Just thought this horse was potentially overpriced at 14 to 1, but it would be more of a token selection than one to get stuck into. I think there's better racing on the Saturday to have bets in.
Yeah, it's a traffy affair, isn't it, really? But Talisman Time, for what it's worth, is currently at 14 to 1. I fancy 2 in this. Tarriance, so at the head of the market at 5 to 1 with that good record lately for the Melrose of last time out winners. So I'm hoping that will come to the fore again. And as you say, in that Sandown race, it was a tricky race, obviously, with Gravitas going wrong in that and a few of them being hampered as a result of it. But I like the way he stuck his neck out. And the horse who actually finished fourth in that, who is a much bigger price this time around, despite only being beaten 3 lengths, is Boatswain, who is about 25 to 1, I think I saw. So they will be my 2 to go to war with in terms of the trends and the amount of boxes ticked that both of those 2 are doing. I like where they're weighted as well. So a couple for me in what is a very tricky Melrose. On to the 240 now at Goodwood. This is a 0 to 105 handicap, 3-year-olds and over a mile 4. Now we do have a shorty in this one at 4 to 5. Prince of the Seas it is for Jack Dace and Rafe Beckett. So taking up a large percentage of the market, Dave. Is that right?
Oh, it's hard to say definitely, really. I tried to look for some like market trends to see if there would be any confirmation bias as to whether odds-on favourites in these types of handicaps are the ones to side with or the ones not to. If you look at horses, I've done this since 2003, it was the quickest way for me to put it up, but they show a negative 4% return on investment if you backed every odds-on favourite running in Class 2 handicaps since all those years. But a negative 4% return on investment, you know there's overrun within a market. It's about where it probably should sit. It means it's probably a little bit ahead of some of the other stuff. If you look at it for 3-year-olds alone, because they're getting a hefty weight for age allowance, it's a minus 1% return on investment. So it's getting closer to parity. I didn't look at later in the season because sometimes 3-year-olds with the weight for age, it means more stuff. But basically, I found out nothing by looking at the odds on favourites in there, other than the fact that they probably run about to expectations in there. It's just really hard for me to try and find something to take this horse on because I'm very blinkered with, like I said, the weight for age. Jack Dace has taken a further £5 off as well. He actually rides in the 205 for Rafe Beckett on another horse. I can't remember what that one's called, but it's been niggled. Palmer's Bay, I want to say it is. There's a horse that could frank that form in the 520 today at York, but I just think that Jack Dace could be on a couple of good mounts for Rafe Beckett at Goodwood this Saturday. And like I say, when I start trying to make a case for other horses, it's just very difficult to see how horses like Crystal Flyer, that's second in here, albeit a course and distance winner, has got to give £9 to this horse plus the 5 that the jockey's claiming. Like, I don't know how it can give it a stone, basically. So I don't think I'd be backing in this race. Again, there's plenty of decent action on the Saturday, but I wouldn't be able to go against Prince of the Seas. I think more than likely that horse will win, but the market tells us that anyway.
Yeah, it's frustrating when that happens, doesn't it? Like you say, you think that they are the most likely winner, but yeah, the market is telling us that already then at 4 to 5. So not really a race we're getting stuck into for Dave. Andrew, did you have an angle?
Yeah, I quite fancy taking on the favourite, Prince of the Seas. I know he's getting the weight for age allowance. So he's only 3-year-old in the lineup. He wasn't beaten far at Ascot last time. That was in the Sugar Cup. They finished in a real heap there, haven't they? I think it was like about a length separating the first 4. So at the prices, I can take him on. There was 2 that were interesting against him. Just a shame we haven't got 8 runners with a sort of 100 to 1 shot thrown in there for each way. But Crystal Flyer, disappointed last time out, the first time tongue tie at Newmarket, but was a 25 to 1 shot at listed company. And she's of interest on her course form. 3 runs here, first, and second. The second when finding a mile 6 on heavy ground, stretching her stamina. The wind's coming over 10 furlongs and a mile and a half today's trip on good ground. Now, the other one is Incensed for Amanda Perrott. Now, she was only 4th of 6 at Newbury last time. But you look at the running style, Dwelt start in rear outpaced. Now she also hung. That was her first run on the left. Her first run. She's on a left-handed track at the 11th time of asking. The winner of that race, Star of Light, made all. The runner-up, Umbria, raced in second throughout, and the horse who finished last of 6, a typical woman, beaten 6 lengths, came out and won at 17 to 2 last time. And next time out, a 4-runner race at Lingfield. So her running style was no help. She probably didn't like the left-handed track. You could argue she's best on the all-weather. She's won 4 times, 3 of them at Kempton, but she did win at right-handed Carlisle. And it's interesting that her 2 handicap wins have come against the boys, so maybe she needs the sort of stronger tempo associated with open races rather than fillies only races. So yeah, I'll split stakes between Incensed and Crystal Flyer and take on the Jolly.
There you go, taking on the boys, Crystal Flyer and Incensed, 6 to 1 and 8 to 1, taking on the Gelding at the head of the market. There you go. Andrew is team girls in that 240 at Goodwood. Always good to know. On to the 3 o'clock now at York, the Group 1 City of York Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 7 furlong to Britain's brand new Group 1 contest. Really looking forward to this one, and so deserved as well, because of course they were trying for years and years to get this status, deservedly so. They were able to do so because of all of those fantastic renewals over the years. Rosallion it is who heads away at 7-4. Kirat now at 20-1, not quite the 150-1, Andrew, that we saw him winning at in the Sussex Stakes at Goodwood, trying to prove that that was no fluke. Rosallion, though, clearly fancied to reverse that form.
Yeah, cracking race this, and I was quite surprised they got that Group 1 status after last year when the average rating was quite low, wasn't it? And
yeah.
Kinross and Lake Forest were withdrawn, and Breach won it at 33-1. When even with a 6-runner field, there was a massive draw bias, and you had to be low and towards that far side rail. It was quite a strange race. Yeah, when I saw the original entries for this race, I thought, oh, please let it cut up and Quinault be the only front runner, because he's 3 from 3 at York. He absolutely loves it here. And Goodwood wouldn't have been ideal for him last time out as Tom Morley's horse. And he still ran pretty well, didn't he? Making the running, finishing 4th to Witness Stand. But again, you had to be on the front end in that race. Witness Stand was in the first 3 or 4 throughout, as was the third audience, as was Quinault. And it was Lake Forest who caught the eye for William Haggis, who did best of the closes in 2nd place. So I'd have Lake Forest as a potential one to reverse the form here. There is loads of pace in here, as you'd expect, as well as Quinault. There's Quirat. There's a blinkered first-time audience. Anything could happen here. Absolute Fruit Loop, this horse. There's the Marino Charlie as a front runner as well, the French raider. So although we've seen, sometimes you look at York races and you think, oh, the pace is going to collapse here because there's loads of front runners in it, and it does hold up. Maybe over this 7 furlong trip, we do want to be on a closer. So yeah, I was going to go Lake Forest at a price, and Never So Brave as well as the obvious one, but his chances well covered in offers around about 11-4. So yeah, I'll probably do Lake Forest, save on Never So Brave, and do the reverse forecast.
Okay, there you go. Nice way to play the sort of the same. Lake Forest is currently at 16, Never So Brave at 11-4, taking on Rosallion at the head of the market. But Dave, as Andrew was saying there, this is a bit of a mental race on paper in terms of who's actually going to be able to get to the lead. So how did you see it?
Yeah, I remember last year's race as well, because I tipped up audience, think was probably like 7-4 shot, maybe even bigger than that. Lake Forest got smashed up, didn't it? And we were thinking, oh, it's the Tony Bloom money, and then obviously got withdrawn at the start. I think audience got kicked and bled, went off as a 4-7 poke, and then goes and gets beat, like Andrew says, by Breege at 33-1. So, I mean, that's audience in a nutshell, isn't it? The run last time out in first-time cheap pieces was a bit more like him, but we know on his day he's capable of doing something very special. He's just never really backed it up, has he? And that sort of performance last time out, I know he's got first-time blinkers on this time, which could ignite the same sort of passion out of him, but that still shouldn't be good enough for him to win this race. But write him off at your peril, I guess, is that horse audience. Lake Forest that Andrew suggested, I really do like him. Like I say, he was backed in this race last time. I backed him at Goodwood. He was relatively weak in that race last time, but stayed on nicely. So I feel like that probably was a bit of a stepping stone to this. And the fact that he was bet in the race last year and obviously got withdrawn, maybe it's a bit of redemption. It seems like quite a long time ago that he won that Group 1 over in Australia, isn't it? Rosehill, I think it is, in November last year. But he's a good horse. This is now changed into Group 1 status, and that's probably where the ceiling lies with him. Like, I don't know if he's quite a Group 1 horse, but we do know that Rosallion is a Group 1 horse. And as much as I mocked Doglands when we did the Royal Ascot preview and Andrew napped that horse and he went and won, I need to apologise to that horse. It's the time to get that out of the way. But Rosallion sort of broke my heart that day because I just thought he was going to get the job done. He hasn't raced at 7 furlongs since he was a 2-year-old, but he's been really good over a mile, hasn't he? They've been a bit more prominent with him. They held him up at Newbury, which I didn't think was ideal. I said at Royal Ascot, I think he'll be prominent and he'll be there or thereabouts. And they did try and do that. He just got beat by a very good horse on the day. But I think here, I know dropping back to 7 furlongs might not be completely ideal. If it was 7.5 furlongs, that might suit him a bit more. But as Andrew said, with lots of pace on in here, I don't think they will lay up with the pace of him in this instance. I think they'll be happy to take a lead because he can come from behind and he's not going to need to be worried about being sort of left miles behind like he was in that race at Goodwood. Sean Levy got off and said that he should have won that race if he'd gone a little bit sooner. They tried to lay up with the pace. The other 3 broke away. We're just not going to get that in this particular race as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be a far more even tempo. It's going to be a good gallop that's in there. Rosallion is the best horse in the race. I think it's quite as simple as that. So 7-4 top price about him might not be attractive to too many people, but it's going to be a bit of Royal Ascot redemption for me on Rosallion because I think he wins this race.
Yeah, it's redemption on a few parts really for Rosallion, isn't it? After how unlucky he's been, but so consistent, so talented. And he proves that every single time he goes to the track. And he is clear top rated in here as well, being 120. So hopefully he will get that deserved success then in the newly Group 1 City of York Stakes. On to the 3:35 now at York. This is the Ebor, the Heritage Handicap, so the biggest race of the whole week. 4-year-olds and over a mile 6. Now Hipop de Loire is back for more in the Ebor for that man Willie Mullins after being an unlucky eye-catching, was he 4th in this race last year? So he's back for more on the back of his maiden hurdle success at Galway when last seen. So it's going to be, he's 5th in it, I should say, last year, but an eye-catching one in the process. So Dave, who wins the Ebor? Nice easy question.
It should be an easy question, isn't it? I'll just start off with the only thing that puts me off Hipop de Loire, and it's no reason to really do that, is just the fact that he's an 8-year-old. Which doesn't mean an 8-year-old can't win an Ebor, but where we talk about these horses where they've been clearly retargeted at a race where they were unlucky in the previous year, he is another year older, and you know, horses, especially the flat horses, they should be on their way declining at this type of age. But this horse is putting in better figures than he did last year. Prepped at Galway last year and got beat. Prepped at Galway this year and won on over hurdles. Even the extra flat run in between where Colin Keane rode the horse, I thought was a decent enough effort. Draws probably okay. It can matter where you're drawn, but it depends on the year of the race. I think when I've done the stats stuff, there's plenty of horses that win from low draws, plenty that win from high draws. If I was forced to have a preference, I'd say stall 14 or higher, but 9 for Hipop de Loire is fine. The only thing is obviously not getting the clear passage last year. You're trusting that Colin Keane's going to be able to get it right from that middle section, and you know there's going to need to be an amount of luck, just like there was last year. As much as he got misfortune, he's going to need as much fortune to win it. So I'm definitely having a win dart on Hipop de Loire, but I can still remember the race last year, and it still feels uncomfortable to see a horse not get a clear passage and then something else goes and runs well. Of those, I might want to potentially throw up as maybe an each-way alternative as well as back in Hipop de Loire. Chiava was second in the race last year. I know the horse is up £9 from that effort, but is running at least £9 better. Again, prepping in similar types of races. The market raiser effort this year is a stone better than what the horse did the year before. So the £9 rise can take it in his stance. But again, he's another 8-year-old, but you just can't really write him off. It just never runs a bad race, as he, this horse. The other one that I thought was probably more logical, I guess, and a horse that does tick lots of boxes, is Ascending for Henry de Bromhead, who won last time out. The £3 rise for that horse, I don't think's harsh enough to stop the horse winning another race. This is obviously a very hard race to go and win, so you'd rather not have the £3 penalty, but then coming into the race on winning form looks fine. Maybe does need a little bit further, but it's one of these races where you know you do want to be able to stay strongly to have a chance in this. So I feel like Ascending, I think maybe around about 14-1 general poke seems the one for each way money, but I'll be back in Hipop de Loire as the main selection, a win only dart on that horse, and hope that he gets some luck and, just like Rosallion, a bit of redemption for us.
So between a Willie Mullins and a Henry de Bromhead horse then for Dave. Yes, and actually top price now at 16s, like say general 14s for Hipop de Loire. 7-2 though, heading the way for Willie Mullins. Andrew.
Yeah, stats-wise, it's a 5-all draw in the last 10 years between British and Irish trainers, but the 5 British winners came from 167 runners, and the Irish from just 36. And in COVID-affected 2020, there was only one Irish raider who finished 20th of 21. So you back all the Irish runners in this race, profit of 15 quid, back all the British, minus £91.50. And horses who started favourite in their prep race have done well also, winning 5 of the last 10 renewals from just 38 runners for a profit of £25.50. So that certainly brings in Hipop de Loire and Ethical Diamond, who both qualify on that angle. 7-2 and 8-1. So yeah, Hipop de Loire looks particularly interesting. Dave's made a good case for that one already. Of the sort of home contingent at bigger prices, I've also got Chiava on my radar because of his good course form. And the other one was a couple of others are interesting. One of them is Enemy, who was running this race twice before. Finished well beaten, but he was running off marks of 110 and 109. Yeah, one of those he was 40, beaten 11 and a bit lengths by Trawlman, which certainly wasn't bad. The other one was an absurd year. But he's got cheek pieces on for the first time, which is a positive angle for Ian Williams's turf runners. And he runs off 98 here. So, yeah, he's have a lot less weight than he usually carries in this race. I thought Enemy could go well at a price. Stress Free was interesting as well, 66 to 1. He could do with some rain, but he's got a useful record at York, and you can forget that run behind Sam Hawkins at Goodwood last time. You had to be on the front end. The winner, the third, the fourth were prominent throughout, and he was ridden patiently. So picking one of those, I'll probably just go Chiava. I think he's the sort of safest each way play of those at sort of 20 to 1 plus. If you can have a safe bet at that sort of price, but gun to my head, it'd be Hipop de Loire.
Okay, Hipop de Loire then again in agreement. Bucky Harbour is at 25 to 1. Gave a good shout out for Enemy at 33s, and also Stress 3 at 66 to 1 as well. So some bigger price alternatives there for Andrew as well. On to our final race in this part of the show, which is the 410 at York for Constantine Handicap, Heritage Handicap, 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. 7 to 1 the field, Andrew. So yeah, not a get out of jail free card for this last one.
Yeah, tricky as you'd expect. The usual let's just back everything drawn low in York sprints. It doesn't seem as significant so far in the first couple of days. We've just had the sales race where sort of down the centre seemed to be best. Well, even the going stick saying you want to be on the stand side, if not down the centre, if not far side. But it seems that the centre is the place to be at the moment. The interesting one here for me is regular readers of my column will probably groan because I put this one up as a big each way bet on Wednesday, which was Jordan Electrics for the 5 furlong 89-yard handicap. I was really disappointed with his run there. He's sort of broken okay, and then he's just sort of not seemed happy at any stage, got squeezed out of it, and then ended up finishing 15th for 20 runners at the 10 to 1 shot. But it's interesting to see him out again so quickly. Jim Goldie's got a great record when he brings horses back quickly. In about sort of 6 days is the cut-off point. He's got one today, actually. We're recording this on Thursday. Goes into 5:20 York at Colonel Sunshine here. He's had a 24-hour break after running well over a shorter trip on the Wednesday. So I thought even though Jordan Electrics ran a shocker on Wednesday, maybe sort of double the price or bigger, he could be worth an each-way stab here. So yeah, he's my tentative pick in a very, very tricky race.
Yeah, on the 3-day turner, and like I say, going in again then with Jordan Electrics currently at 22 to 1. I can see.
Should also mention a higher draw, completely random, who was drawn out of it in the Stewards Cup, ran well in the Wokingham against the pace bias, but I'm just worried about that still 17 draw. On the other one as well, that's high drawn, that might be Nimitz for Norway, 66 to 1. Looked terrible in the paddock according to ITV and William Hill Radio's Ken Peterson, and but ran 9th of 20 at 40 to 1. Came from off the pace. Now that race, the one won by Brazen Bolt, has thrown up some excellent subsequent performances from the horses who were held up. Red Orange was better to closes in 3rd. Miss Attitude came from off the pace in 7th. They went to France next time out and ran 1-2 in listed company, with Miss Attitude winning at odds of almost 15 to 1. And Jackajaro, who was 6th in that race, ran well in the Stewards Cup next time. So we've seen loads of good performers. Reigning Prophet, who was 14th after missing the kick, came out and won at 8 to 1 next time out. Anything that was ridden patiently that race has been worth backing next time out. So if Nimitz does go line up here under Jamie Spencer, I will have to have a little bit on, despite that still 19 draw. But yeah, main play, Jordan Electrics.
Interesting though about Nimitz, yeah, the biggest price of them all, 66 to 1 after not running all that badly at Goodwood when last seen. The Swedish runner in here.
Oh, Swedish, Norway. So apologies to my Swedish friends. Getting you
just a generalized Scandinavia. That's it. We love just pooling people together. But there you go then. Yes, we have got that. Jordan Electric zone is at 22 to 1 for Andrew. Dave, who do you like?
Yeah, good case made for Nimitz, to be fair. I thought Nimitz was finished, but it turns out he's only a 4-year-old, so he's not quite finished yet, is he? So
very good.
He's got a chance.
Very good.
That Goodwood form that Andrew's talked about, I hadn't even really looked at it, to be fair, but like the Jamie Spencer bookings I did in it for those types of horses, we know that sort of thing. I know Andrew talks about the draw there, which is obviously something to definitely take into consideration, but Jamie Spencer can cut round the back and go if they want to do that. So yeah, reasonable case at a big price. I was stuck on this one in the fact that I'm glad Andrew was talking about Jordan Electrics, because that watching that race back the other day was almost painful to watch, because he was sort of short of room, but didn't really need to be short of room, and then waited with to get a bit of a gap, then got the gap, and then got short of room again. And then when he finally did get a bit of daylight, didn't really quicken away like a horse that had been stopped in running from particularly winning the race. But it was an interesting ride, is what I would say. Lots of people fancied him, as well as Andrew popping him up on there. So like from a, I guess, a form and a logical perspective, you could see him going well. I think he was runner-up behind JM Jungle the year before in the race. But the fact they've sort of turned him around so quickly in here, I'm not saying they've planned and plotted to not run very well in that particular race, but if they knew that this was going to be the target to go for, because he's had 16 wins, hasn't he? 9 of them have come over 6 furlongs. Maybe Wednesday was just a case of, do you know what, he needs a little bit of extra work, let's just run him in there and let's get him going in here. I'm not saying they've done that, because obviously every horse is trying, but there's a chance that could be the case. And like I say, he's got decent form at this course. 9 of his 16 wins are been over 6 furlongs. He loves good to firm ground. I'm happy with where he's drawn, and they're not going to be waiting for another day with him in the next week or so, or a couple of weeks with this particular horse. So I feel like Jordan Electric will be given a bit of a better ride. And I think the good thing as well with, like Andrew said, he came out the stalls fine and then was sort of settled a little bit. When he's won at 6 furlongs, and when they've made a bit more use of him off the front, he has done better. And I just expect that will happen. They've got no reason to not try and come out the stalls and then just send him on. And I think if Jordan Electric gets his own way up front, I think the price that he is ridiculous. I think he'll be a popular one as well. Like, a few people will see the eye-catching run, a few people will pop him up. So anything north of 14s or 16s looks big. So the fact that you can get 22s about him at the time of recording looks generous, even if it's a value loser.
There you go. Yeah, but like I say, when you've got a price that's on offer like that, when you can make the case, it's yeah, it just pulls you in, doesn't it? 22 to 1 about Jordan Electrics. Then don't be surprised if that does shorten up. Right, Dave, I'll go back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
No
problemo. Andrew.
Just 520 at York, extended 10 furlong heritage handicap. Charlie Johnson puts the first time cheap pieces on Thunder Wonder. I know previously I've said this one might be best going right-handed, but Johnson Jr. Has got a good record with first-time headgear, unlike his old man. He used to have a shocking time with first-time headgear. But he's 7 from 32 this season, plus £34.50 to a £1 level stake. 3 of those winners came in first-time cheap pieces. So, yeah, maybe Thunder Wonder, obviously, but as the name suggests, another son of Knight of Thunder can run a race at a price. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and another shout out for Knight of Thunder as well. 14 to 1. He's actually priced up in that race as well. So nice early prices that we've got to go up for that 520 at York. Right, Andrew, I'll go back to you, please, for your nap.
Go to Dave first, please. I'll have a think about it.
Okay, there you go. At least he's honest. Dave, back to you, please.
Could you go back to Andrew so I can have a think about it, please? No, it's definitely a trappy one today. I was tempered with the Ebor because Hipop de Loire, it's the redemption thing, and I feel a bit risky napping a horse in the Ebor, as much as we like to have brave shouts on air. The other alternative, which is the one I think on balance I'll side with, is Back in Black in that 205 at Goodwood. I know the horse had a bit of a layoff, so there's risks attached to tipping this one up as well, but it's a 50k race. This horse, as far as I'm concerned, is much better than his current handicap mark. And if they have waited by design because he's very well fresh, then it's a genius plan. And if he's just missed a bit of work or missed a bit of the season because he's not had the chances, then he's getting in here off of a very light mark as far as I'm concerned, because he should be rated a lot higher had he continued his progression. So Back in Black in the 205 at Goodwood, and then if not, we can chase on Hipop de Loire, but obviously gamble responsibly.
There you go then, yeah. And so an alternative to the main nap there for Dave. Andrew, has that bought you enough time?
Yes, it has, thank you. I will go with Jordan Electrics in the 410 at York, in the hope that I wasn't completely barking up the wrong tree on Wednesday when napping him.
There you go. Yeah, just for your own sanity, just to be able to recoup some of that then on the 3-day turnaround, and both of you two agreeing about Jordan Electrics as well. I'm going to chuck in French Master because I know Dave was saying that to nap in the Ebor, it may not be the way to go. And I realised I didn't even make the case for him in the main part of the preview, but I thought 8 to 1 was fair. First time visor goes on him, bidding to get back to winning ways. I know it's a flat trainer. I know that the Gosdens train him rather than the Bromhead or Willie Mullins, but still, though, I thought that French Master looked to have a perfect setup and also perfect profile for the Ebor. Right, lads, thank you so much to the pair of you two for all of your hard work. So we've managed to get through despite sickness, despite everything else going on. So very well done. Hopefully we will be rewarded with some winners there for this weekend. Again, a shout out for Barry Salt for joining us as a member. But lads, best of luck with your bets this weekend. Best of luck to you watching as well with your bets this weekend. And we'll speak to you again next week.